Hi, my name is Atif Kamal, and this is Be Logical. In this episode of Be Logical, I will introduce the idea of disjunctive propositions, and then I'll show how that idea applies within an article regarding angry men and the consequences that they face from their excessive anger. Okay? Now, a disjunctive proposition, what it does is it presents two or more possibilities to be considered, and ideally the disjunctive proposition that you would use, or that is used, would be one that consists of mutually exclusive possibilities, meaning both possibilities within a disjunctive proposition cannot both be true. Only one of them should be true. The reason why that is ideal is because if you determine that one of those possibilities is true, that means it will rule out that the other possibility is true. That means that possibility will be false. And if you can rule out that a possibility is true, then that means that you have less possibilities to consider about whether they are true or false or not. It gives you less of a load in terms of determining which possibility is true or not. Okay? So an example of a disjunctive proposition would be like, and of the ideal disjunctive proposition that I'm talking about would be like, either I will sleep in or I will weightlift. Okay? Let's presume that those are mutually exclusive possibilities. In other words, if I sleep in, then I'm not going to weight train. If I weight train, then I'm not going to sleep in. Okay? Those are examples of disjunctive propositions and how they rule each other out. Because you know that if I sleep in, then it can't be possible for me to weight train. And you know that if I weight train, it can't be possible for me to sleep in. Those are examples of how if you show that one possibility is true, it will rule out the other. Okay? Now I'm going to show you how it applies in the article I was referring to. So the article that I'll show how a disjunctive proposition applies is in the article titled The Angry Brain, How to Help Men with Uncontrollable Tempers. This article is by Efron Potter, who writes for Psychotherapy Networker, and I got this article from alternate.org. Now, Ron says that for over the past 30 years, he has counseled angry men for almost 25,000 hours. And he says that in general, the angry men that he counsels come to him not by choice, but by ultimatum. And the ultimatum they're given is a way in which a disjunctive proposition could manifest itself. So these are some of the types of ultimatums that excessively angry men might receive. Get therapy for your anger, or get out, says the girlfriend. Get therapy for your anger, or you're fired, says the employer. Get therapy for your anger, or you'll go to jail, says the judge. Okay? Now, each of these ultimatums, each of these disjunctive propositions consist of mutually exclusive possibilities. In other words, both possibilities cannot be true at the same time. So, if an excessively angry man gets therapy for their anger, then it ought to be true that they will not have to get out of their girlfriend's place, at least not for the reason of anger. If they get therapy for their anger, then they will not be fired, at least not for the reason of getting angry. If they get therapy for their anger, then they will not have to go to jail, at least not for anger. And in all these cases, we're assuming that the therapy was 100% effective in not making them angry anymore, getting them to be angry anymore. On the flip side, it doesn't work so well So just let's say we know that an excessive a man was kicked out of his girlfriend's place. We can't necessarily assume that he did not get therapy for his anger. For all we know, he could have done that as well, but he just got kicked out because he was really dirty. Or let's say he was fired. Just because he was fired doesn't mean that he didn't get therapy for his anger. He could have just been really terrible at his job. Let's say he went to jail. Again, that doesn't necessarily imply that he didn't get therapy for his anger. He could have stolen something. Okay? Now, this doesn't say so much about disjunctive propositions as it says something about the content of a disjunctive proposition. Whether the possibilities within a disjunctive proposition will exclude each other depends on the content, not disjunctive propositions themselves. But as you saw in my very first example that I gave, if you word them right, then confirming one possibility will rule out the other. Okay, and yeah, that's how disjunctive propositions are reflected in, or could be reflected in ultimatum. Although, depending on the content, you could falsify them. Okay, and that is it for this episode. All right, thank you.